C line's okay. You're good.
Okay, good. And now we can go have some fun with pianos.
Now, the fun begins.
Okay, Dell just got this worked out. You can hear it. I can feel it, but I don't know at what point.
This is the bass section of the piano down here. Okay. The lowest note on the piano has a frequency of 27.5 hertz. That's the lowest A. You will never hear that coming from a piano. You will hear it simulated because of the combinations of different harmonics that this piano will not generate that frequency, period. It cannot. Why not? It has to be able to move. The soundboard has to be able to move.
Okay.
Which is why if you look at a high-end speaker installation, you'll see there's this little tiny tweeter up here, and it doesn't take a lot of energy to create enough noise to deafen you. Now you go down the frequency a little bit. Let's picture that as being up here. Here's your little tweeter.
Here's your little tweeter.
And in reality, pianos don't really have tweeters because the upper frequency is not that high.
How high is it? Do you know? 4,000 hertz?
Yeah, 52 something maybe.
Okay.
I could figure it out. So, as you move down, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger until you get into the mid-range, and you've got this nice. Now, in a loudspeaker system, a high-end loudspeaker system, you'd have one more stage. You'd have a subwoofer.
Subwoofer.
And that's going to be really big, and it's going to move a lot. You can feel it move. It moves. But in the piano, this is the bass bridge for this piano. It's been modified somewhat. The original looked
part of your genius, yes.
And that's going to go right on to there. But look how close it is over here. And you can kind of move that a little bit, but boy, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's tough.
It would take a lot of energy to cause that. Is there some kind of...
We don't have anywhere close to that much energy.
Is there a substructure under there that makes it...
There's ribs that make it even stiffer. How in the world can you get not just the lowest bass, but how can you get an articulate bass? Because it starts getting just kind of muddy down here, and because things just can't move. So the bridge, this bridge, originally, this bridge was mounted back about, I think it's about 1.25 inches behind where it is right now. So when we try to get it to move, it doesn't move this way. It moves, it just wiggles back and forth. And in the original, there's a lot of wood in here, and that wood is just kind of absorbing a lot of energy.
And resisting the motion.
It's absorbing a lot of energy that you would really like to go into moving the soundboard. So in this particular piano, we can't completely eliminate. This is called a cantilever.
Cantilever.
Well, it's got other names too.
Because it moves back and forth. It's a cantilever.
The appropriate name is cantilever. And we can't eliminate it completely on this piano because of the configuration of the string frame, but we can reduce it a great deal. And you'll notice when it goes on over here, it's going to just kind of overlap the mounting piece. So one of the, before this project is complete, I will transfer these to there and try it again.
Oh, and compare the waveforms you're getting.
Right.
Got it.
But how do you get this soundboard to move? Well, for years, I've been making a cut right along here. And that cut goes all the way through the soundboard, which leaves the soundboard free to move. Because the inner rim, which you can feel underneath here, the inner rim comes in probably about there's the outer rim right there. And so you've got that much more up here that the soundboard is glued to. So the distance from here to the edge is only about that far.
Would you call it more of a floating soundboard now? Because
it will become a floating soundboard. So I've been doing this for quite a while, years. I started working on this stuff in the 1980s.
And did you bring that to your designs at Baldwin when you worked there?
And I used it in new designs since then, as well as some of the rebuilding pianos. But I've never actually measured anything.
Oh, so this is the first time you're doing a sonic envelope on it.
It's been
wow.
Intuitive.
Right.
I listen. So this time I decided I wanted to get a little more. I wanted to know a little more.
You want to be more of a techie.
And so I've started out, and you know, starting out, you don't know where you're going to go. I also don't have a large manufacturing budget behind me, so I have to do this on the cheap.
Sure.
All right. So my function generator, which a good quality function generator these days, I don't know, probably $500 to $1,000.
Okay. Has become the cell phone. Huh.
Or you download an app.
So what's the frequency range of the noise that phone is generating, the cell phone?
Well, in this particular case, I have it cut off at 1800 hertz, 1800. And there's a reason for that. This is the bass section of the piano.
That's all you're sampling right now.
All I'm interested in.
Right.
I don't care what's going to happen through the rest of it. This is what I'm interested in.
Will you follow the same technique up the soundboard?
Oh, eventually I probably will. I have a much more elaborate spectrum analyzer, but it's a pain in the neck to set up and configure. So, once again,
quick and dirty.
An app
yeah.
And a cute little measurement microphone.
I can definitely not feel on this board 20 cycles. It doesn't happen. Okay, Dell just got this worked out. You can hear it. I can feel it, but I don't know at what point it started feeling, though. Can you step it? Oh, I felt it almost immediately after you started.
Feel this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's quite clear. And you can feel the resonance of the resonance of the soundboard.
65, 70, 80.
This is way cool.
90. Now you're starting to hear more.
Yes.
And by the time it gets, okay, 108,
you can feel.
Now you can.
The RMS is exactly the same throughout this entire sequence, right?
The input is the same.
Same.
But the sound you're hearing, and you notice.
It's how responsive the soundboard is to that frequency.
Yeah, and you notice that as it sweeps up, it gets louder and quieter.
Quieter, louder and quieter. And that has to do with the geometries.
That's because you're coming, there's a resonance.
Right.
Right there.
Yep.
You got louder, you can hear it, boom.
Yeah.
And then it drops out, now another strong resonance comes in. It drops out a little bit.
And it's like a wave, building and subsiding, building and subsiding.
Okay. I think that'll start over again.
And you're going to be able to see it on this, right?
It's supposed to, anyway. There's almost no sound there. I mean, there's a lot of junk. Woo, there's the first resonant.
That was about 100 hertz.
It was just about 100, yeah.
There was a truck going by.
Well, yeah, when I do this for good, I come out late at night.
Yeah. Okay, let me ask you. Would the sound be perfect if it was perfectly flat? If you could create a piano, I know you can't, but would the ideal be perfectly flat?
I wouldn't like it.
You wouldn't like it. I don't think you would like it because it wouldn't have that texture to it.
You'd think it was dead.
It wouldn't have texture.
Yeah.
That was downstairs. He received a package delivery, UPS or FedEx or somebody. And he got two new transducers that he can mount on the piano.
They're actually called exciters.
Exciters. And you already tried them out once, didn't you?
I tried them, kind of, not in any kind of a.
What was your superficial impressions?
I like them.
All right.
We'll see.
There we go. It's writing on there now.
I'm just using them as a weight now, and it makes the energy transfer from this little vibrator to the soundboard just a little bit more efficient. In the future, I will replace these little ones down here with these and experiment with those for a while and figure out which ones I like the response of better, which ones I think give me a more true picture of what the soundboard's doing. And I have a couple of different apps on here, and I'm trying out each one to see which one gives me the most true response. When I actually do my measurements, I have a much more sophisticated spectrum analyzer.
Oh.
But it's hard to set up and hard to get it to.
So you're going to bring out the big gun later on after you get it all configured. In terms of like a center of balance of the tonality, how much would you expect to change it after you do the more floating version of the soundboard?
That's what I'm about to find out.
Oh, what would you like to see? About 10 hertz?
Well, I don't know.
Wow.
I don't think anybody knows.
White paper.
Yeah.
First publication.
So I want to find out what's happening. I want to find out if I can find an actual ideal spot. I'm not sure that there is one. I think we have probably a lot of leeway. I know in experiments over the years, I've made the cut like this and I've made it like that, and they both seem to work. The problem is that once the piano's built, how do you know that it might have worked better?
You can't tweak it.
This?
Yeah, you can't tweak it.
Let's take the piano apart and try it again.
Forget it.
I'm going to start this again.
And so this is how he's going to baseline the original configuration of the soundboard, by inducing these signals.
Yeah, it's still warming up. You can see the peak right there.
Right there.
And as it just goes up, the red line is the maximum. It's a maximum hold.
For each frequency.
It shows you how high it's gotten at any given point, and it just stays there. Where the red line is, that is the maximum amplitude
for each
of
frequency.
Sound that we've gotten from this sweep. The sweep started out at 10 and it stopped at 1,000. This is all harmonic stuff.
Oh, all those dancing around is harmonic.
This did not get any signal from the generator. This just responded because the soundboard was doing stuff.
Ah, the red. Okay.
Yeah, and when there's a response here, it probably triggered something up here.
Well, you know, it looks pretty flat along the crown.
It's not bad. It's not bad. Where you see these peaks like that, those are all soundboard resonances. Now,
and you don't like those.
Well, you may or may not.
Oh, it could sound good and inspiring, but
if you have a note, the frequency of which falls exactly on that point, you've got a voicing problem.
Yes, because it's going to sound louder.
It's going to sound louder.
Yes.
So you don't want a lot of those strong, but without them you lose color. So if you play this note here, just pick one at random, to get the soundboard to move, it has to move this whole area because this is stiff. Hard maple.
So the sound, that vibration has to be transmitted across that whole thing.
Right, and it gets that energy from the string.
Right.
So that stiffness, the mass, how stiff it is, that determines the rate of energy transfer from the string into the bridge and then into the soundboard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's pretty high, all right? So then you move down here, and you get down here to the end.
It's got nothing at the end of it to
There's
transmit.
nothing at the end.
Oh.
Which is why some manufacturers, Baldwin being one of them,
add a little
add
section
this.
of wood. Yes.
And that is to help block the motion of the string. Otherwise, this note gets sounding very thuddy. Just, there's no sustain, it just drops off.
Right.
So they add this. But this is not an ideal answer either.
Right.
So the trick is you want to blend
with that other one, the other bridge. Yes. Because that's the transition point.
And even that rather crude example, listen to the frequency of it's called a ringtone for pianos.
It's louder.
Well, it's louder.
And it's brighter.
Lower pitch.
Mm.
This is.
Yeah, and the other one's brighter. I can hear it.
Lower pitch.
Right.
So ideally, you'd like those to be about the same.
Yes. Wow.
And then as you come down, now listen to this.
Ah. And that's because it's closer to the very end of the soundboard. Yes.
And it just locks that sucker down.
Okay.
So we'll take this, which is a air-powered router, and it's ground off flush, so I can get right in. And I will follow right around here, and I'll probably stop right here, and then I'll take another set of measurements.
So you're going to undercut where you expect it to be.
And then I'll move on. And what I'm expecting to find, based on my experience, is I'll reach a point of diminishing returns.
Right.
Where
You're wasting your time. You're not getting
a little bit, I'll measure, I'll do a little bit more, I'll measure, I'll expect to see a fairly significant change. Then I'll do a little more. I'll see less change.
Yeah.
And at some point, I'll stop. And when I'm done, what I hope to do is, aside from coming up with a nice sounding piano, that's my primary goal. But the secondary goal is to demonstrate a process by which an average rebuilder can replicate my experiments inexpensively in their own shop.
So you're going to have the kit together and describe what they need to buy.
Exactly. It'll be like you just get this kit and you can do these things. You can measure all this stuff.
Well, it's too bad I'm not always going to be around to follow the project with the camera, but we're going to sign off now. But I'm certainly looking forward to the results.